Looking back, I feel like I almost wasted my 20s. I was this close to going down the wrong career path. In my early 20s, I didn't have anyone pushing me to think big or to explore the unconventional paths in career in life. When people say choose your friends wisely, they're absolutely right. Most of my peers were happy with the safe, traditional route, and I nearly followed along. And it would have costed me some of the best years of my life. In college, I interned at an accounting firm, and I remember sitting in a cubicle all day, plugging numbers into spreadsheets, feeling zero excitement. And I thought a stable corporate job was what I was supposed to do. But I was just utterly bored and completely unfulfilled. Hey guys, my name is Deric, and over the last 5 years, I've built tech businesses from the ground up. I even bootstrapped one of my startup to about 80,000 US dollars per month by my mid 20s. And we've worked with hundreds of students through my coding bootcamp that I run called Sigma School. And our programs have been featured in the press for redefining tech education. And I mention this not to brag, but to really show you that I eventually found my calling, and it wasn't the path that I started on. And now I want to share the one insight that saved me from wasting my career so that you can maybe find work that you love and that you may excel at too. And by the end of this video, you will know 3 key questions to ask yourself to discover a fulfilling in-demand career, which some may call their true calling. And first, I'm going to share with you how I realized I was on the wrong track. That's my story. Then I'm going to introduce you to a powerful 3-circle framework that completely changed how I choose my work. And finally, we're going to apply it step by step so you can use it right away with real examples. All right. Sounds good? Let's dive into it. So in my final year of university, I had a wake-up call. So I was on track to become an accountant. Yes, I studied accounting and finance because it seemed like the safest option to go into corporate. But I realized that if I continued down that road, I would end up miserable. I saw people a few years ahead of me in those stable jobs who hated every single minute they were stuck in it. Sure, they made pretty okay, decent amount of money, but they came home drained and constantly complaining about, their jobs. And I even heard one senior colleague at me, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And I knew I didn't want that fate. Being good at something I didn't care about, being stuck in a grind. And around the same time back then, I noticed something about myself. I spent all my free time tinkering with technology and with business ideas. I even ran a little side hustle in college, flipping secondhand calculators and gadgets just because I found it fun and exciting and I could make money at the same time, right? I loved building things and solving tech problems. So I was the guy that friends came to when they had some issues with code when it comes to them applying for jobs and all that, or when they needed an advice on a new app. So a close friend once told me, Deric, you light up so much when you talk about tech, when you talk about startups, when you talk about investing in tech startups as well. Why are you still aiming for a career in corporate, in accounting and finance? And he was right. I was absolutely obsessed with the tech startup landscape, but I was afraid to stray from the traditional path because the people around me were not entrepreneurial. So I had to convince myself that a career in tech was completely unrealistic for me. I thought it was reserved for the richest. Then one day I stumbled upon a blog post by author Michael Hyatt that introduced a simple diagram, which is a Venn diagram with 3 circles. And the diagram blew me away because it answered the question that I have been wrestling with. The question of what should I do in my life, right? The idea was that your ideal career is at the intersection of 3 things, which are your passion, your proficiency, and profitability. And in other words, what you love doing, what you're good at, and what people will pay you for. Where those 3 overlap, that's your sweet spot, that's your calling. I remember thinking, this makes so much sense. It became clear why the accounting path felt so wrong. It was profitable, yes, and I was capable at it, yes, but I had zero passion for it. Even 2 out of 3, it's not enough for this. I realized I really needed all 3 to be happy in the long run. So I'm going to talk about the 3 keys to a fulfilling career, and this is the framework that absolutely changed everything for me. So let's break down those 3 elements and why each one matters so much. You truly need all 3. You can't just have 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3. You need all 3. First one will be passion. What fires you up? What could you work on for hours and still feel energized? If you're not passionate about your work, you will eventually feel empty and you will burn out. It's just a matter of time. Life's too short to spend it doing something you hate, right? However, remember that passion alone does not pay the bills. You might love playing video games or writing poetry, but unless you find a way to really monetize it, it will remain nothing but a hobby, right? Passion is crucial for long-term happiness, but by itself, it will not put food on the table. The next thing you can look at is proficiency. What are you good at? What could you become good at? These are your skills and your strengths. And maybe you're good at coding. writing, teaching, or fixing cars. Being skilled means it's able to help you create value for employers or for customers, and it also builds your confidence. But be aware, because it's possible to be good at something you don't enjoy. I know an auto mechanic who's extremely talented at fixing cars, but he absolutely hates his job because it was never his passion to begin with. And on the flip side, if you love something but have zero skill in it, you will need to invest time to develop that proficiency. Loving music will not make you a professional singer if you can't carry a tune, right? You will have to train and practice like crazy. And the next one would be profitability. Finally, you can understand if it pays. Does it pay the bills? Is there a market demand for it? Will someone actually pay you and pay you well to do this work? If not, it's not a sustainable career. It's just a personal interest or a hobby. You could be passionate about 16th century poetry and even be an expert in it, but there are very few jobs for that niche. And on the other hand, if you love art and you're good at design, there's something that people will pay for. Think about graphic designers, fashion designers, animators. The point is, if none of your skill and none of your passion areas have paying opportunities, you might need to rethink it or find a creative angle that is profitable. Here's why all three matter. If you leave out any one of the three, you will hit a wall. Passion plus skill, but no profit equals you're going to be broke. Right? You're going to be doing what you love, but you're unable to make a living out of it. A lot of people are stuck in this cycle. Second one, passion plus profit, but no skill. You will fail or you get fired because you won't be able to deliver results despite your enthusiasm. And the third one will be skill plus profit, but having no passion to do the work. You will be miserable grinding away at something you don't care about just for a paycheck. Finding the overlap of all three is like hitting the career jackpot. And it's not just theory. Real world data actually backs this up. Gallup survey shows that only about 21% of employees worldwide are engaged at work. And that means roughly 4 out of 5 people are not really into their jobs. And no wonder so many folks are unhappy in their careers. Often it's because they're missing one of these key elements. Maybe they chose a job for the money, no passion, or they pursue something that they loved with no market demand, or stuck with a convenient skill even if they dislike the job just because it was the easiest path moving forward. And the result will always be some form of disengagement or some form of dissatisfaction. So when I discovered this 3-circle framework, it completely shifted my direction. I actually sat down and wrote out my own 3 circles. Under passion, I put technology, I put building things, and under proficiency, I listed problem solving, learning new skills fast, tech and coding, right? And under profitability, I wrote software or the tech industry, since tech skills are very much in high demand. The overlap was obvious to me. Software development and tech entrepreneurship, that was my aha moment. I realized I would be wasting my potential if I didn't pursue that path. So I pivoted hard. I decided to teach myself how to code by any means necessary through online courses, YouTube tutorials, you name it. I've tried all of it. I even quit my previous job to focus full time on learning to code. It was super duper hard and I couldn't afford an expensive coding bootcamp or another degree. So I went the self-taught route, and for months, I basically locked myself in my room and coded up to 12 hours a day, every single day. And in fact, in about 6 months of learning, I managed to reach the point where I was helping my friends who had IT degrees with their coding tests. I even landed multiple small software projects for clients, and that blew my mind. Here I was, an outsider with no formal tech education, assisting computer science graduates. And it proved that with intense focus, you can rapidly gain skills that are in demand. And more importantly, it confirmed that I was actually on the right path. And over the next few years, I launched my own tech ventures. Those projects not only became financially pretty successful. Eventually, one of them hit $80,000 per month mark, which I mentioned. But more importantly, I was waking up excited every day. I had control in terms of how I want to run the company. And I had found my sweet spot at the intersection of passion, proficiency, and profit. So now let's talk a little bit about you, right? If you're not happy with your current path and you're feeling a little bit lost or stuck, this 3-circle framework is a tool that you can use immediately, right? The first one would be identifying what you love under passion. Take a piece of paper and make a list of things that you generally enjoy. Do it right now, right? You generally enjoy doing, or topics that fascinate you. It could be anything. It could be writing code. It could be making music. It could be helping friends with their finances, designing logos, cooking, teaching kids, analyzing sports stats, whatever that is. The key is that it energizes you. And think about times when you get so absorbed in an activity that hours fly by. And those are big clues to your passions. Next one would be proficiency and identifying what you're good at or could become good at. Now, make a list of your skills and natural strengths. And these can be technical skills like knowing a programming language, video editing, accounting, and soft skills like communication, empathy, leadership. If you're not sure what your skills are, then ask the people close to you. Sometimes friends or family can point out talents that you take for granted, and also include things that you are not good at yet, but have the potential to master. Maybe you're really interested in UI, UX design, or data science. You can always learn and improve. So don't be afraid to put it down just because you're a beginner. The idea is to map out where you either already have the ability or are willing to put in the work to build ability, right? And the third one here would be profitability, identifying what people will pay for. And this is the reality check step. Look at the first two lists that you wrote up, your passion and your skills. And for each item or combination, ask, are there jobs or businesses in this area? Is there demand for this in the marketplace? You don't need to be doing a super in-depth detailed research for now, just a common sense kind of test, right? Circle any item that clearly has career potential and cross out or put a question mark next to things that don't have an obvious way to make money, and be really honest and objective here. For each passion skill that you wrote, do a quick mental scan on the job market. Is there a need for this? For example, if one of your passions is playing video games, understand that turning that into a career, like becoming a pro streamer or a game developer, is possible but highly competitive and far from guaranteed. And on the other hand, if you love art or design and you're good at it, feels like graphic design, animation, UX, UI, these areas have a lot of job opportunities. And if you love helping people and having a knack for science, there's demand for nurses, medical technicians. The point here is not to crush your own dreams, but to align them with reality. If none of your passion plus skill combos have paying opportunities, then you might need to get creative and brainstorm adjacent fields that are profitable. And often there's a way to pivot an interest into a marketable skill with a little bit of creativity. And after this exercise, you've hopefully thought one or a few career options that hit all three criteria, and that's your target zone. It could point to a specific role like UI, UX designer, or data analyst, or teacher, or maybe a broader industry that you should explore more. If you do find something that satisfies passion, efficiency, and profit, that's fantastic. Now you know where to focus your energy on. You may need to get a certification, build a portfolio, or start a side project to transition into that area, but at least you've got a clear direction that's aligned with who you are and the real world. If you don't find anything that clearly checks all three boxes yet, do not panic. It just means you might need to do more exploring or skill building. Sometimes you discover a passion by trying new things that you haven't tried before, or you might need to level up a skill before the passion and profit side clicks into place. And remember, you can be strategic about it. Maybe you have passion or skill combo that isn't very profitable right now, so you keep that as a hobby or a side hustle and take a day job that builds your skills or pays that bills in the meantime. The goal here is to gradually steer yourself towards that golden intersection of the three circles, and it might not happen overnight, but every skill that you build and every experiment that you try can move you closer. A friend of mine was a talented painter, right? Painting was a passion and she was really good at it, but she realized making a living as a fine artist would be extremely competitive and tough because of the sheer limited market demand. So she pivoted into graphic design, where her artistic talents were in extremely high demand, and now she designs visuals for clients and marketing agencies, making a really solid income. And she still gets to be creative with her art every day, and she found a practical outlet for her passion and skill. Another acquaintance of mine loved music history. He even got a degree in it because he was so passionate about the subject. But after graduating, he found almost no jobs that required knowledge of 18th century composers. He ended up working at an unrelated office job, essentially underemployed and not using that specialized knowledge at all. He had passion and skill in that niche area, but there were just simply no market demand for it. And sadly, he's not alone. Studies shows that 50% of recent college graduates end up being underemployed in their first job, often because they didn't consider the profitability factor of their field. The lesson here isn't that you should give up on what you love. It's that you should do your homework on whether or not your love can support the life that you want. If not, consider adjusting course or find a related area that is in demand. Now you might be thinking, okay, once I find my career sweet spot, I'm going to be set for life, right? Well, not exactly, because today's world is changing super fast with AI and everything moving. And one big lesson that I've learned and that my mentors and role models emphasize is that you have to keep learning and adapting even after you land in your ideal zone. The journey doesn't end when you find your calling. In many ways, it's just the beginning, because the target is always moving. Here's some perspective. According to the World Economic Forum, by 2025, half of all employees globally will need to reskill or upskill to stay competitive. And that's how rapid digital transformation and new technologies are upending industries. In fact, a recent report warned that 85 million jobs could be displaced by automation and AI. But it's not all doom and gloom. The same report predicted that 97 million new roles will emerge that never existed before. And what does that mean? It means that the type of work that needs doing is shifting. The new opportunities are popping up every day, but they often demand new skills. The half-life of skills, as I call it, is shorter than ever. One study noted that skills that were relevant just 5 years ago can be completely obsolete today. And in some tech fields, a tech or programming language that was hot 2 years ago might even be outdated by a new framework or an AI tool. This sounds scary, but it's actually an opportunity for those who are embracing lifelong learning. It means that continuous education, and in some form or another, is now part of any
any successful career. You cannot just have a degree at 22 and never learn another thing and expect to try for 40 years. You have to keep evolving, you have to keep learning. And the good news here is if you love what you do, a lot of this learning will be fun and it will be self-driven. And for me, because I'm passionate about tech, I'm constantly reading, taking online courses, or experimenting with new technologies, not because someone forces me to, but because I'm genuinely interested in it. It's a habit that keeps me relevant. Another thing that's changing is the pathways into careers. It used to be very linear. You get a degree, that degree leads to a job, and you stick with that field. Now, alternative education paths are exploding in popularity because they can adapt faster to what the employers need. For example, I run a coding bootcamp where we've taught over 100 students programming skills. Many of them actually come from different backgrounds. We have business people, biology, and even music students, or even doctors today, right, who want to switch into tech. And we've seen that with a focused project-based curriculum, someone can go from zero coding knowledge to being absolutely job ready in as little as 3 months. In fact, industry-wide data shows about 71% of coding bootcamps graduate find a tech job within 6 months of completing a program. Employers are catching up on these too. About 69% of employers consider bootcamp graduates to be strong hires because of their practical skills and knowledge. The point here isn't about bootcamp or not. The point here is if you identify that you need a new skill to reach your career sweet spot, you don't necessarily need to spend another 4 years back in college for it. There are online courses, bootcamps, mentorships, certification programs, and communities that can help you retool much faster and much more affordably. And times are changing now, so much so that constant upskilling isn't just for overachievers. It's becoming the norm. And those who embrace it will have a huge advantage. I experienced this firsthand. Remember, I pivoted from finance to tech by self-learning and later building my own ed tech startup. Traditional education didn't prepare me for what I wanted to do, so I had to create my own path. It was super hard, it was brutal, but it also made me realize that resourcefulness and willingness to learn are superpowers in today's economy. If you have those, you can navigate whatever changes come. One of my favorite thinkers and philosopher, billionaire philosopher, Naval Ravikant, he has a quote: "Earn with your mind, not with your time." In the modern world, your knowledge, creativity, and your skills are the assets that create value, not just the hours that you put in. So think of learning as investing in your biggest asset, which is yourself. And every new skill or experience is like adding another tool to your toolbox that could open up a door or solve a problem down the line. You're leveling yourself up. And before I wrap up, let me share a personal note about my journey after finding my calling. By 2023, my coding education business, Sigma School, had stabilized a little bit more and was running on a healthy 70% profit margin. And I had built systems and a small team. And for the first time, I thought, hey, things are comfortable. I could actually chill for a bit. And I did take a breather, but I quickly realized I'm not ready to coast today. I'm still young and I'm still hungry to make a bigger impact. I don't want to just maintain. I want to create and innovate. So now in 2025 and beyond, I've shifted back into growth mode, reinvesting in the product, hiring more senior people, and just spending more money and taking bigger risk again. My goal is to 10x our impact, aiming to eventually reach a revenue milestone that would have sounded so ridiculous to my younger self. It's scary and I think it's exciting at the same time. Why am I telling you this? Because I want you to know that finding your calling doesn't mean you just kick back and right into the sunset. The world keeps throwing new challenges and opportunities at you, and that's a good thing. Embrace it. When you're in the right field, you won't really want to stand still. You'll be driven to grow, not just for the money, but because it's fulfilling to pursue your potential. So let me ask you, where do you stand with these three factors that we've talked about? Passion, proficiency, and profit. Have you found a spot where what you love, what you're good at, and what pays the bills are intersect? If yes, that's amazing. That's awesome. Keep doubling down and do not lose sight on your goal for some shiny object syndrome. Keep doubling down on that and growing in that direction. Never stop sharpening your skills and expanding your impact in that area. If you haven't found yet, don't worry. Most of us don't actually land in our perfect calling immediately. The key here is to identify what's missing for you right now. Do you need to discover a passion, something that truly excites you? Do you need to level up your skills or learn a completely new one? Or do you have passion and skill but need to find a more profitable angle for it? Once you know what gap you need to fill, you can just simply take action. And for me, realizing my ideal path, which is tech entrepreneurship, was step one, right? Taking the leap and actually building it was step two. It wasn't easy. There were plenty of late nights, failed experiments, and moments of doubt, but it's all worth it now in hindsight. And I can honestly say I woke up excited about what I do now. And that is an amazing feeling. You deserve the feeling too. Don't settle for a career that lacks passion or underutilizes your gifts. And remember, especially in today's world with new industries and technologies like AI emerging every year, there are many more opportunities than now to help you create a career that truly fits you. Don't listen to the cynics who say you should play it safe or settle for a mediocre job just because it's stable. Often those are people who gave up on finding what they love or who are afraid to step outside of their comfort zone. You don't have to live like that. Aim for that intersection of passion, proficiency, and profit, and don't be afraid afraid to reinvent yourself along the way. You need to do it anyways. It might take time and effort to get there, but once you do, you know it, because you will actually enjoy your work and be rewarded for it, both personally and financially. That's when work doesn't really feel like work in the draining sense. It becomes a meaningful part of life that you're happy with. Thank you so much for listening. And if you find this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content on tech careers, on personal growth, on using AI to level up your life. And I'd also love to learn from you. What are your passions, skills, and ideas for making them profitable? How are you planning to bring them together? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and let's share and learn from each other. See you in the next video.